This video will show you how to replace the front brakes, pads, and rotors on a Nissan Sentra. This will be located behind the front wheel. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. To do this, safely raise and support the front of the vehicle so the wheel's off the ground. Now after completing that, we're going to remove all 5 of our 21mm lug nuts and then the wheel. If you find you have a hard time gaining access to the lug nuts, if you have a hubcap, you can remove that simply by pulling it out of place. I do not need to remove my hubcap. Go ahead and remove that wheel, we'll set it aside. Now that we have the wheel off, we have a clear view of our front brakes. Let's focus on the caliper. So we're focusing in this area of the caliper. I'm going to be using a pry bar. I want to come in between the caliper and I'm trying to get up against my rotor deep inside. I'm going to attempt to pry this outward, which would drive in on my caliper piston. Now once you have movement from this, we'll continue on. Now let's move along the rearward side of the caliper. Looking at this, we can see that we have 2 14mm mounting bolts. Let's go ahead and carefully remove each of these. For the first bolt, I'm going to remove it. Just give it a quick inspection, start it back in just a couple threads. Both of these bolts will look the same. We do not need to worry about mixing these up. Let's move along. Let's take hold of the caliper. We want to prevent it from falling. Go ahead and remove that first mounting bolt. Just a quick inspection of that. We'll set it aside as well. Now as we slide our caliper out of place, we need to pay attention to our caliper piston. That's this area here. First of all, we want to make sure we press it all the way in, and then we're going to double check to make sure there's no leaks from along the dust boot. If there's a leak from the dust boot, that means the internal seals are bad, and you're just going to want to replace the caliper. Let's push this back. Now there's different types of caliper piston compression tools. This is the type that I'm using here. Essentially, I'm just pushing that piston all the way in as far as possible. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, a close inspection of that dust boot. I don't see any fluid, so I'm going to hang this aside, putting no pressure on my flex hose. Now we can start removing our brake pads. If they're stuck in place, you can pry them out of place. I'm just going to use a small pry bar for that. I like to give my brake pads a quick inspection during the removal process. A couple things to note. We want to see if they're worn at an angle. If they are, it could have been stuck in the bracket, or you might have an issue with the slider pin. Either way, we're going to be fixing that. One other thing is you're going to find that you have a wear indicator on each one of the pads. Now this isn't only a wear indicator, it's also for one of your upper tins. It has 2 tabs that slide in, one on each pad. It needs to be in the proper location during the installation process. You can see this is up along the top area. Let's go ahead and remove that outer pad, same thing here. I can see my wear indicator right up along the top. This is looking good. Let's continue on to removing our caliper bracket next. Now to remove this caliper bracket along the inboard side, you're going to find that you have 2 19mm bolts holding the bracket to the steering knuckle. Keep in mind these bolts are the only thing holding the bracket in place. We'll remove that first bolt, start it back in a couple threads, preventing the bracket from falling. Let's remove that bracket. We will be cleaning and lubricating this. For now, let's set it aside. Let's remove our brake rotor next. Now, prior to installing our brand new rotor, we need to make sure we clean and inspect our wheel bearing hub mating surface. Remove any miscellaneous debris and apply some clean anti-seize. For this, I'm using some parts cleaner and a wire brush, and of course, I have a collection receptacle under this area. After cleaning all that, we're continuing on with anti-seize. We'll put a smooth coating all the way around this. Prior to installing our brake rotor, let's make sure we clean both braking surfaces, front and rear. We'll use some parts cleaner and a clean rag for this. Let's install that brand new rotor. Now obviously we do want to prevent this from falling off while we continue on. If you have something you can use as a spacer, go ahead and use that. And one of your original lug nuts. Let's have a quick look at our caliper bracket. We're going to remove everything from it, clean it, and lubricate it. We'll start with our caliper bracket tins. During the removal process, I had mentioned one of the tins does have two tabs that protrude out towards the side. During the installation process, our brand new tin with those tabs goes on the same side of the bracket. Make a clear marking if necessary. Let's remove the other tin. We'll set those aside for recycling. Continuing on, we're going to remove each of our two slider pins. Hold on to your caliper slider pin boot, slide the pin out of place. Go ahead and clean it up. Give it a close inspection. While inspecting these, we can see that one of the pins will have a vibration dampener. The other will not. That pin needs to go in the same corresponding port during the installation process. During the cleaning process, we also want to make sure we clean all the way up into this groove where we can see here where my fingers are. This is where the boot will sit. We want to make sure it makes a good seal so no moisture or debris makes its way inside. After that, go ahead and remove the caliper slider pin mounting boot. Take hold of that and slide it out of place. To clean this, I'm going to be using a rag. We're just going to take one of these rags, we'll give it a quick twist at a corner, and slide it straight on through to the far side. Once you slide it through, just go ahead and roll it around a little here. We're attempting to remove any miscellaneous lubricant or debris from inside of this. We're not using any type of parts cleaner here. We do not want to cause any damage. A quick inspection to make sure it's soft and pliable, not torn, worn, or damaged. Both of these boots will look the same, but let's just go ahead and set that aside with the corresponding slider pin. Repeat the process for the other side of your bracket. As you can tell, no vibration dampener. I'm going to clean this as well. For now, I'll just set it aside, continue on to that boot. Go ahead and clean that. Close inspection. If it is damaged in any way, you need to replace it. Now at this point, we've removed everything from the bracket, but we have to do some cleaning. We'll start in the areas where we had our caliper bracket tins. Now there's several different ways of cleaning this. I'm just going to use a wire brush. We want to try to remove as much debris as possible without causing any damage to the bracket. The pads need to be able to move around freely. Now it looks like I've cleaned this well enough. I'm going to do the same on the opposite side of the bracket. Now that I've cleaned both sides of the bracket where the tins go, we're paying attention to the slider pin port. We will be cleaning the inside, but first let's pay attention to the outboard side. We can see this small groove making its way around. That's where the boot would sit. It needs to be clean. Now we'll have a look inside those caliper slider pin ports. We need to clean that as well. I'm using parts cleaner over a collection receptacle and a bore brush. Let's give that a quick rinse. A close inspection, and repeat the process for the other side of the bracket. Perfect. Now let's add some high temperature caliper lubricant to each one of our slider pin ports. When I lubricate the port, I also make my way along the outboard side. on the bracket where our slider pin boot will sit. We'll continue on with our slider pin boot. We have it in the proper orientation. It slides right on there. A quick rotation helps work that lubricant into the proper positioning. Lubricate the entire slider pin from the tip all the way up to the groove at the far end where my fingers are. That's where the boot will sit. There needs to be some lubricant here. It's going to help keep moisture out. We'll slide this into place. When you press it in, squeeze out any air from in the boot. Repeat the process for the other side of the caliper. If you don't press out the air, this is what happens. Continuing with the high temperature caliper lubricant. Add a thin amount along the caliper bracket where those tins would sit. During the installation of the caliper bracket tins, they need to go in the proper positioning as I mentioned. You don't need very much of this lubricant, just enough to help keep moisture away. We can see that we have two different tins. I'm starting with this one here. It does not have the tabs that protrude out. I'm pressing it all the way towards the bracket and then double checking to make sure it's secured in place. It should not fall off the bracket. The opposite side is the side that I made a clear marking. It's the side that I have my tabs. Same process here. We're just lining these up, pressing it in, making sure it's secure. Let's get this over to the vehicle. Let's get our caliper bracket in place. I'm going to take this and bring it over the brake rotor, aligning it with the rearward side, and I have two mounting bolts. Now that I have both bolts bottomed out, I'm going to be torquing each of these to 122 foot-pounds. So now it's time for our brake pads. During the removal process, I had mentioned we're paying attention to our wear indicators. The wear indicator needs to be facing up on each one of the pads. As we bring this into position, we also need to pay attention to our upper tins. I mentioned that there's small tabs. Those will go into the wear indicator. You can gently flex these as necessary. If the tin falls off the bracket, just go ahead and resituate it. It's not a big deal. So I'm taking that small tab, I'm bringing it in through my wear indicator. Now I just need to get the pad in the proper positioning. It can be fairly difficult to see the inboard side pad. We're just lining it up, pressing it in. That should want to slide in. Double check to make sure that it's in the proper positioning here. I can see that still inside of the wear indicator where it needs to be. We're going to make sure the pad can move around. If you have to use a hammer to tap it in, you did not clean the caliper bracket well enough. Let's just make sure this is in place and we'll continue on to the next. So same process here. We have our small tab, it's going through the wear indicator. Go ahead and roll that into position. Make sure your pads don't go flying out. That moves as it should. Now before we get our caliper in place, a couple things to pay attention to here. The first thing I like to do is add high temperature lubricant to my caliper piston directly here all the way around the circular area. We're also going to go along the inboard side of each of these two ears, essentially only on the areas that touch up against the brake pads. This is going to help with vibration dampening and noise reduction. Now as we bring the caliper in place, we need to make sure that the flex hose is not twisted in a way that might restrict brake fluid flow. Otherwise, you're going to have a braking problem. Once you have that in position, we'll continue on with our two caliper slider pin bolts. Start them in, snug them up. The torque for these will be 20 foot-pounds. Double check to make sure that's secure, and triple check to confirm that your flex hose has not been twisted in a way that might restrict brake fluid flow. Now let's go ahead and remove our lug nut and spacer, assuming you used one. Now one last quick inspection in this area and we can reinstall our wheel. Since I do have a hubcap, it's easiest to install my lug nuts. If I just install the lug nut into my socket, then I don't have to reach inside. We're going to start on all 5 of our 21mm lug nuts. We'll bottom them out. Get the wheels safely on the ground and then torque each of these lug nuts to 87 foot-pounds. When we snug and torque these, we're going to do it in a crisscross manner. Torqued. Okay friend, we showed you how to replace the front brakes on one side of the vehicle. The process for one side is the exact same thing as the other. Now once you've completed both sides and the wheels are torqued, pump up the brake pedal till it's nice and firm and take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.